Let everyone know that we're having a cannabis-themed presentation from True North Seed Bank and Canuk Seeds. Liz is going to join us today. We're pleased to present the purveyors of fine cannabis seeds and breeding new strains. So please welcome Liz from Oasis Seeds, True North.
Not everyone's that lucky, so a lot of those folks end up turning to auto-flowering seeds. Some people just want more harvest in a year, so they like auto-flowers for that. Some people just have less space. If you're in a small apartment and that's all you got, you just want to run, one or two plants, auto-flowering is a great choice. The photo period, on the other hand, you're going to have to manipulate your lights. However, you are going to get them into flowering. However, you are going to also you're going to get a lot more bud off it at the end of the day, and it's going to be a lot more potent. A lot of people talk about medical and recreation as though it's a completely separate thing, and in some ways it certainly is. However, there is medical benefit to anyone. We all have endocannabinoid systems. We all benefit from the potential of things like CBD. However, CBD is not the only component in cannabis that is medically useful. I have a lot of people, especially people like my dad's age, for example, who come to me and go, okay, well, I just want the CBD. I don't want THC. My priority is not getting high. It's treating my pain or treating my insomnia. Depending on the person, and everyone's different, THC can be really beneficial medicinally. Again, the trick is to find what ratio works for you and what you're looking to treat. So, some of the frequently asked questions that I get around this kind of stuff is, so was all cannabis from the 70s like sativa or something? Because I didn't used to get this stoned. Well, we've done a lot of selective breeding and things like that. We've also, one of the priorities there has been raising the THC. However, something else that has happened is that all of these tons of strains that we have now came from something called landrace strains, which are strains that were either 100% indica or 100% sativa. So yeah, if you were smoking cannabis back in the 70s, you may have gotten 100% sativa. Most of the strains now are some variation of hybrid. I listed off some of the conditions that cannabis can be used to treat. So the question I get asked a lot is, what kind of strains work for which symptoms? Okay, this obviously gets really complicated because it's so individualized, right? There's a few general rules. Like I said, an indica that is maybe higher in THC may be more useful for things like anxiety or insomnia. I know that for myself, if I smoke a sativa-dominant strain, especially if it's really, really high in THC, I get super anxious, and it also isn't useful for my pain management. So that's not a strain that I'm going to go with. On the other hand, my husband, who lives with ADHD and doesn't have to worry about chronic pain, he loves a good sativa. That's really what works best for him for balancing out his hyperactivity. Ultimately, the best thing that I always recommend is to actually go to truenorthseedbank.com. If you click on cannabis seeds and then view all cannabis seeds, it's pretty easy to navigate, I promise. There's actually a whole bunch of different things you can check off and you can filter out your results. So some of the options that it gives you to filter include the seed bank, if you have a preference for a specific breeder, the sex of the plant, so that's the regular versus feminized thing I talked about, the flowering type, so again, that comes down to the auto-flowering or the photo period, the flowering time, medical conditions that can be used to treat. We have quite an extensive list of around 30 or so conditions that specific strains are identified to work for. You can filter it the taste and flavor, the effect, the yield, the variety, THC content, CBD content, and you can play around with all those different filter settings so you can kind of refine those thousands of different options so that you understand what kind of ballpark you might be looking at. And then what you do is you go into a place like HomeGrown Hydroponics and you talk to Alex or one of his awesome staff and say, hey, I'm on the True North site, I kind of refined some different strains, here's like a list of 5 that I think might work, and then you can go from there. A lot of it really does end up being trial and error, and also comes down to things like pheno hunting. which is all about, like I said, finding exactly the right balance, the right plant, and going from there to use the genetics that work best for you. If any of you have any questions about this stuff, because I get that it's complicated and that's a lot of information at once, please don't hesitate to come chat with me. Again, the True North Seed Bank table, we've got a whole bunch of information on different seeds, and I'm super happy to chat with anyone who's got questions. Thanks so much.